Hi everyone, it's Miss Brenner. I hope you're all doing well and staying happy and healthy. We're here to talk about the agenda for week 13 and your expectations. So we are going to continue learning about dystopian literature through the use of short stories, the novel Brave New World, and other nonfiction content. As far as our objectives, students will know literary terms, dystopian society types, Brave New World terms, and dystopian controls. Students will be able to identify characters and terms based on plot moments, reference characters by name, and identify types of dystopian societies and controls within the pieces of literature. As far as essential questions, how do dystopian societies act as a satirical mirror to modern society? Why do characters in these societies accept the enforced law of the society? And what insight can you gain from dystopian literature? So if we were to look at our Schoology page, we see we have week 13. Once again, as stated in my email, I do apologize. I did open up activity 1 early because I accidentally put it into week 12 instead of week 13. And so it is reorganized. So this assignment has been open. It is due on the 26th of April, as are all of the assignments for week 13. So as we look in activity 1, we have our Maneki Neko Brave New World discussion, which looks like this. And I'm asking you to compare the two societies who are striving to create social order through the implementation of technological growth. The methods by which the technology is implemented is different between the two stories, but both stories want to see humans living happier lives and choose to use technology in order to achieve that ideal state. What methods are used in order to achieve a happier society in Maneki Neko, and how does this system function? How is it different from technological methods used to achieve a happy society in Brave New World? Is one method more effective than the other, or are both methods so flawed that you would disagree with the implementation of either technique? Then we have, here's the story link, so you should read the story before you do this discussion. We also have the worksheet for Maneki Neko Part 1 and the worksheet for Part 2. Part 1, we are talking about foreshadowing with 5 separate pieces to be identified for foreshadowing as such, and then dystopian controls. So once again, we are looking at the 9 different forms of dystopian controls as listed in the worksheet, and we are trying to find examples of these controls that are prevalent in Maneki Neko. The second worksheet is looking at it through some different psychological lenses, particularly the psychological and the new critical. So you are picking one prompt from each of the categories, so you would have a total of 2 pieces completed, which would be 10 sentences for each piece, 20 sentences total. All right, the next activity that we have is activity 2 and 3. We're reading chapters 6 and 7 in Brave New World using Edpuzzle. We then have a discussion for chapters 1 through 7 as far as an analysis and a worksheet. The Brave New World chapters 1 through 7 analysis. Part 1, how important is it for individuals to find their own happiness? Can happiness be given to someone without their own self-exploration? So you need to use information from the story to compare with your own opinions as far as finding happiness, and can happiness be given to somebody as it is being explained in the novel. Part 2, how important is it to be a part of a group or community for a person's mental health, and how does being a part of a community change our perception of ourselves? So in the novel, they really focus on the idea of community identity. Community stability is their motto. And so we are talking about how important community is for mental health and how that changes our perception of who we are. Remember to use gathered information from the novel itself, so there should be direct references to the story. We have week 13, creative writing. Your creative writing prompts are to write a story where one character needs to betray the other but isn't sure if they can. Write a thriller about someone who witnesses a murder except there's no evidence that a murder took place. Write a romance where the characters pretend to be dating each other in order to win a reality show. or you can write a character who's finally on the verge of achieving their lifelong dream. Once again, if you want some other options and you want to partake in the weekly writing competition, here is the link in the Google Doc. If we scroll down, we can see activity 4. We are talking about genetic engineering in comparison to our novel so far. There is an ed puzzle for genetic engineering and 2 articles that you should read about designer babies, and then a discussion. The discussion about designer babies is going to focus on the use of genetic engineering to alter the structure of human DNA is unavoidable, and society is on the brink of this massive change in the human gene pool. Do you believe that there should be restrictions placed on human DNA alteration? Why or why not? So you're going to want to make sure that you explain that. Would you choose to alter the DNA structure of your possible offspring, and how could this choice impact the life of said offspring? Use information gathered from the articles and ed puzzle to support your opinions addressing the questions related to the topic of genetic engineering and designer babies. Make sure to identify the author from which you gain your knowledge, and your response should be a minimum of 300 words. So, as far as citing for the author, please just let me know what author you are pulling from. So which article and the author, the ed puzzle if you are pulling from the ed puzzle, and the novel if you are pulling from the novel. So that way I can better understand exactly your opinions and what you are pulling as data to support your reasoning. Lastly, we have our silent reading for this week. Once again, you should be reading about 15 minutes every day, something other than the required curriculum for this course. The question is, how do you relate to the narrative of your silent reading choice with your life currently? This could be a more literal approach, like connecting historical events to modern news in your life, or a more personal connection to a character within your story. You are then going to comment on one other student's discussion post about what they are currently reading. And that is everything for week 13. Once again, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I would be happy to help you and to talk about the novel in more detail. I do realize Brave New World is a very complicated novel. Also, in case you're wondering, you probably noticed we skipped from chapter 4 to chapter 6. That is because chapter 5 contains some very adult content. I do not require chapter 5 to be read for this course due to the very adult content. Nothing in chapter 5 applies to the plot of the story. It is just a very graphic chapter in order to better explain just how sexually active this society is. So if you want to read chapter 5, by all means, please feel free to read it. I'm not trying to stop you from reading it. However, it doesn't change the plot or the narrative of the story. It does not change the characters' behaviors. And most of the time, people who do read chapter 5 find it unusual, but it doesn't change their viewpoints on how they feel about the society or the characters in general. So once again, if you want to read chapter 5, please feel free to. The audio is once again available on YouTube, or you can read from the novel itself. But we will not be using chapter 5 in this course. Alrighty guys, I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!